Hi, I'm Melissa Hill, and I'm joined here in the studio today by Randal Hemmerlin, who is the Executive Director of the Red Wing Housing and Redevelopment Authority. So, Randal, I thought if you could just, in a nutshell, explain what it is exactly that the HRA does.
First, I want to say thank you for inviting me over to talk to you today. And yes, the HRA is in a number of different things. And there's two arms to a Housing and Redevelopment Authority. And it's just like in the title itself, it says housing and it says redevelopment. And we are very active in our community in both issues. And in the housing, of course, we have the Jordan 1 and Jordan 2 towers. We also own Bluffview Apartments. We own a duplex down by Runnings. And we also have some other properties in the community that we do housing in. And we also issue our Section 8 vouchers, and we have some homeless programs too called Continuum of Care and Bridges program. So that's kind of on the housing side of it. On the redevelopment side of it, we do commercial loans, commercial rehab loans to businesses, and we do have about $2.4 million that are out amongst the community right now. And most of those, if you think about it, are about $50,000 or less in what their amounts are. So we've done a lot of commercial loans to different businesses around the community, and those loans are used to do necessary upgrades, maybe new windows, new doors, heating and ventilation systems, and ADA requirements, and handicap accessibility and things like that. So we're very active in that, and we want to continue to be that way.
Well, that's wonderful. I don't think most people in the community realize you do so much for businesses as well as, homes.
We've been hitting it very hard since 2012, and we think it's been a pretty successful program overall, and we want to continue to do that.
So you clearly have been doing a lot of loans and a lot of housing-related activities, but what specifically has the HRA been working on lately?
Well, we have our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. That's actually pretty exciting. In 2015, the City Council and the HRA created the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And what they did was they said, okay, we'll take $100,000 of the HRA tax levy money and we'll dedicate that to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund each year. And on that trust fund, I have a community advisory committee made up of various people that are related to the housing industry, so that we have feedback, and they have to make a recommendation, and that recommendation for what we're going to do goes to first my HRA board and then to the City Council. And in 2019, we continued with our Home Buyers Assistance Program. Last year I was able to make 6 loans to various home buyers in the city, and we wanted to continue that. And so we do have that program going. We also had money set aside for 3 owner-occupied low-income housing rehabs, and we're working on those right now. Those are all that money's being used up. And I also have $150,000 available for what we call a small site request for proposals, which would bring new housing into the downtown, Old West Main, or Pottery Place area. We would offer up to $25,000 per unit. And it's a grant. It's a 15-year, well, we call it a deferred loan, but in essence, it's forgiven after 15 years if they provide affordable housing.
Wait a minute. So you're saying someone could borrow money, and after 15 years' time, that debt is absolved?
Right, because
they don't have to pay that back?
That is correct. And that's an exchange of providing very much needed affordable workforce housing at a rent that is available at 60% of the area median income. And
in the downtown area?
Well, it's either downtown, Old West Main, or Pottery Place. That's where it's been designated.
Wow.
And so what we were trying to target is, and we know this from, and I think anybody that's been around Red Wing knows that we have some second and third story buildings in downtown that are sitting empty or not being used for residential, and they probably or could be used. And so we were targeting that idea, or we were targeting the idea that, hey, there's an empty site over here. It's been sitting empty for quite some time, or there's a building that hasn't been used for a while. Would that spur someone to put that investment in? Now, on our Affordable Housing Trust Fund Home Buyers Assistance Program, that to me is a very good asset for workforce housing buyers. And it does have that contingency in there. You have to show at least one member of the community, or the loan has to be working at least 30 hours a week or more. That is what the City Council wanted when we created this program. And because we know there's a strong need for workforce housing.
Yes.
And so with that, we can offer up to $9,000, and that becomes what we call a soft second mortgage. And what that means is that it's not forgiven. It is going to stay on and eventually have to be repaid, but it's 0% interest and no payments for up to 30 years.
Wow.
And that $9,000 can leverage maybe 20 to 1 on one of those homes.
But this loan is so much better than a traditional bank loan, no interest, and
again, the city of
Yeah,
Red Wing and the
incredible.
HRA are wanting workforce housing because we know how important it is for our employers to have a good, steady workforce. And we need to have this housing made available to them.
So of that money that you're talking about, those $9,000 loans, how much is left?
Well, right now for this 2019 year, I have $45,000 that I'm anxious to get out. And so I would like to encourage people to apply for that money.
I hope you heard that, Red Wing. Loans available, $9,000 each, $45,000 left.
And we have experienced lenders in Red Wing that know how to work this program with me so that they are not completely in the dark on how it works. And so we work together very well.
Oh, that's wonderful. So obviously you are right in the thick of housing, and I heard that there is a workshop that's coming up about housing. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, and what's happened is that, and the Red Wing HRA was very much involved in that, and that is we're doing a Goodhue County housing study. And we do studies like this about once every 5 years, and we did one in 2009, 2014, and now we're doing one in 2019. But this time is a little bit different because in the past we did it on our own. This time we were working with the Goodhue County Economic Development Agency, and we're doing one for the county. And we're a portion of that, and it will have the data that we need for Red Wing, but we'll also include all the data that goes along with the county. So we're taking that data and we're going to have the housing analysts come and speak to us at the city council, and also the HRA board and Port Authority boards have been invited to come to that as well, to discuss what is going on with our housing and hear what she has to say as the analyst, and then come up with some ideas on how we can start to fill that gap. Back in 2014, we knew that from our study that there was 6,600 employees driving into Red Wing every day for work, commuting into the city.
Yep.
We think that's over 10,000 now. That's a lot of people driving into town, and that we would love to have living here.
Living in town, not commuting to
Not
Red Wing.
commuting. And even if we only got a portion of them, that means we need to increase our housing units.
So that housing workshop is going to be on Monday, December 16th at 6 p.m. in the City Council chambers. We hope that everyone in the community who's interested in on these topics will come and join us and learn what the results of that study are all about and what we can do as a community to address housing. So thank you very much, Randal, for joining me in the studio today, and thank you for watching.
And thank you for having me.